Welcome everyone to the first Fullicide live broadcast. I'm Scott, known as Fullicide SD, or hopefully eventually known as Fullicide SD. And in this video we're going to be, or this live broadcast, see I'm screwing up already, we're going to be talking about XCOM Declassified, also known as the Bureau XCOM Declassified. And in this review we're also going to be taking a look at its predecessor, XCOM Enemy Unknown, and why that was such a great game, and why people were a little bit concerned about XCOM switching to a third-person format, and basically moving away from what everyone really liked about that kind of first game, and why people really wanted a return to that. Now, XCOM, the Bureau, also could be known as a cabinet, declassified, is the third-person shooter developed by 2K, or a subsidiary of 2K, and, well, as you can see, it's third-person format. You play as William Carter, the commander of the declassified squad, but you never really find out what's being declassified. It's just kind of up in the air. In fact, nothing gets really declassified. Aliens invade, and it's your job to kind of go out there and do what you can to stop them. You acquire alien equipment, as you can see from William Carter walking right up above here on my shoulder. He's wearing an advanced pack. You can change out packs and guns. Unlike XCOM, you don't really have full armor. You don't control your squad turn by turn. It's generally a shooter, and it hasn't received the best criticism so far from other websites. It's been mediocre, good at best, and many reasons are because the graphics are clearly dated. The gameplay is at best. Now, there are good things to be had from the game, so don't pick up the game and, go stark raving mad that it's just a bad game. It's just It's not XCOM, and that's what's important. That's why it's received such a mediocre reception. Because XCOM was such a great game, and really strayed away from everything that's out lately. It's nothing of the first-person shooters, third-person shooters, RPGs, what else? Skyrims, anything like that. XCOM was turn-based, it had beautiful strategy, it didn't require a depth of story, it didn't require fantastic characters or character development, it just did what it did well. And what it would have received, for me, on a 10-point scale, because I don't use 10-point scales to score my games, it would have received about 9.5, I would say. Maybe even a 10, if I was feeling really lenient, because it was just simply a phenomenal game. Now, as you can see here, we'll switch to a larger view. The game doesn't seem that bad, the guns seem decently cool, and this control system of your party seems rather simplistic. What I'm doing here is throwing down a field of plasma for enemies to walk through or be defensive, or just simply decide not to throw it down. You can throw down turrets, you can throw down mines, and your squad gains all kinds of abilities. But we'll get more into that as the review goes on. So let's get this started. I'm going to go ahead and flip to further into the review, and also start a timer for breaks in the video, because, like I said, I'm going to screw up, and just formatting decisions, so, for the cuts and editing in the video. So, yeah, you need a Twitch account to participate in the chat. Like I said, I'm flying by the seat of my pants, so I'm looking at chat, I'm doing all kinds of things. Hey guys in chat, real quick question. Are you receiving the audio from the game itself right now? Do I need to... I probably don't have that on, do I? Anyone? Anyone in chat? Nothing? No, alright. How about now? Is that better? Are we good? Yes, no, maybe. Woo. Sweet, thank you for answering that. By the way, Tier 1 Menace and everyone, thank you for being here. Menace, are you who I think you are? I think I know who he is. Anyways, thanks for being here. Thanks for being here, guys. We're going to go ahead and continue with the review, and we're going to start by proceeding into the original XCOM footage and really talking about why XCOM was just so great. And I'm tiny, I'm down here! Anywho, yeah, just gonna go ahead and jump to that. So,
cover there. Going now.
all right. So, XCOM Enemy Unknown, as I've said repeatedly, was not a third-person shooter. It was a turn-based strategy. It was a turn-based strategy where you had a squad of 4 to 6 members who basically would arrive at a location with alien activity and proceed to neutralize or rescue civilians or simply complete objectives. It was a wonderful game. We're going to proceed into it now. So basically, you would work from a mission control that you could build up. This was important because being able to really control the environment from which you launched your missions was awesome. Being able to build power generators to fuel facilities, to train troops, to hire new troops, to improve your arsenal, and also improve your interceptors that intercepted alien craft, shot them down, and when they landed, you would send a squad to take out the enemy or, as I said, rescue civilians. Now, late into the game, as you can see here, you could have a squad of all drones. I actually sometimes would send squads of drones just to take care of the enemy. Going to turn up the volume just a little. I know it's quiet. Fun things like that. You could improve your armor, your arsenal, and you could have a swath of different types of squad members. Members with heavy machine guns, sniper rifles, shotguns, grenades, rocket launchers, med kits, assault rifles, you name it. It was really well done, and it received a lot of praise and even received a lot of commendations from a slew of what's a good word for it? Well-known entertainment websites. A lot of them named it as Game of the Year. So what I did here in this video was picked my squad, added a drone to it to take care of the overhead, because some of the drones can fly and you can actually take high and low positions, and the actual height you have on terrain makes a huge difference. So let's proceed into the mission, because this is taking a moment. Oh, I paused. So, you'd land on the battlefield, and what a lot of people, even I didn't get at first, what a lot of people didn't get at first, was to proceed slowly. So what you'll see here, and I'll speed it up, is a lot of people... How's it going, Mustache? How you doing today? Welcome to the chat. Hope all of you are doing well, by the way. What you would do is you would proceed turn by turn through the environment, and the enemy would also proceed turn by turn, and it really allowed for you to plan out your moves, plan out your strategy, and take the best advantage you could with the knowledge you have of how to take out your enemies. So, proceeding a little further into it, we'll just get to the action. As you can see, I don't move far before I find enemies, 2 of them, and I've got the drone floating overhead, my team moving into position. You would also level up your squad members. They would unlock different abilities. Snipers would unlock the ability to move and shoot within the same turns. And overall, it had the general sense of a game. You weren't taking it too seriously, but yes, there is a lot of room to take the game seriously, as if a squad member dies on battle and you're not loading from prior save, then that squad member is dead. You lose all their experience, you can lose their equipment, I believe, and you lose them. They're dead. So taking on the sense of a commander in this game, you're not a commander on the field like you are in the Bureau Declassified. You're an overhead commander who would basically be making calls from a desk. And what you do is you're commanding a squad, and you can suffer the consequences of that squad. The effect of losing squad members can actually have an effect on how you really send them into battle. I lost in this playthrough, I think it was about 5 members. I was playing on normal. This was my first playthrough, and I didn't want to broach the game with a callousness. So I decided to go on normal, and I still lost about 5 members, 5 or 6. And actually, you start the game by losing like 2 or 3, so there was like 8 or 9 members lost. But yeah, the morality of making decisions on the battlefield really can affect you, and it's fun. If you don't lose too many people, then it's kind of just like, oh, this sucks and I'm quitting. But that kind of stuff happens. So as you can see, I'm approaching very cautiously because now some very powerful adversaries are approaching. One's actually a flying saucer that's in the flying saucer. Who knew? So they're generally set up to take shots at them, and I'll go ahead and skip ahead here to go ahead and move further into the review. I take these enemies down. We go ahead and proceed into the base, but we proceed in a way that we're not in the open, because as you can see, the base has a very open entrance. So what I decide to do is move over here to the left. I have the drone taking shots from above, covering my squad as they move to the left. And here, yes, we haven't done it quite yet, so we'll go ahead and skip to that part.
Solid copy, Commander.
And I'm sorry I'm being quiet. As I said, this is my first cast, so we're just kind of acclimating to everything. So I moved my squad over to the left, and one of the other wonderful things was the versatility of the environment. I throw a grenade here, or I have my squad throw a grenade here to blow open a wall. And my squad decides, and I have my squad proceed in here because I'll have the high ground, and I'll also have the advantage of a smaller space, a smaller controlled space, a space in which my squad can control. So basically it's all about how you approach the enemies. Very fun game. We'll go ahead and skip to the end so you can see a little bit of fighting, and we'll skip to a larger video and I'll turn up the sound. Alright, so we'll go ahead and close out the gameplay here. I know I take it a little cautious, so we'll start right about here, and I'll switch to full vid so you guys can get the full sense of how the squad moves and basically how they interact with the enemies.
Move, move, move! Heading there now. Moving to Overwatch. I don't think we're alone out here. Heading out. Roger that. Scanning. I'm on the move. Headed there now. Moving out.
Moving out.
Overwatch. Aye, aye. I field, Commander. I field, Commander. Contact. Missed.
I'm rolling. Kill them all!
X-ray on the move! They're flanking us! They're shifting their attack! Kill confirmed.
Enemies in sight!
Gonna need to reload soon.
So with the video wrapping up, I see a lot of questions going on in chat, and I just want to answer a few. I know, right? That curved wall rocket. Someone asked if I'll be showing gameplay from the Bureau, XCOM Declassified. I will. This is a live review for those of you who are new to this. I mean, I'm new to this. This is the first live review I'm doing. This is a little rough around the edges, and basically the point is to give a live review and talk to you guys, the audience, because it's you who matter, because, well, you want to know how the games are. So right after this ends, as this wraps up, because I wanted to show why XCOM Enemy Unknown was so good and why people wanted more of it, I'll be getting to the Bureau gameplay and really breaking it down and analyzing it and finding what is good about it, because there are a few things that are really fun about it, and why it can be rage quit frustrating. So, and to Divine Shot Glass, hey Devin, I just wanted to say, Enemy Unknown, man, like, commanding a squad and determining, like, if or when they die, that is a new kind of intensity, one that I don't feel like shooters really mimic anymore, because, you know, in shooters you're just like, oh, it's alright, if I die, I'm just gonna come back and shoot some more shit. But in this, no, your squad doesn't come back. They don't come back, and, well, that's about it. I really appreciate you saying that, man. Like I said, this is my first stream. This is the start. In fact, you can find my full website here. And yeah, this is the start, man. So a lot of errors to be had, but a lot of fun. Let's have fun with this. That's why we're here. So anyways, I'm going to pause this right now. What we're looking at is the beginning gameplay of the Bureau. With XCOM ending, as you could saw, there was... I know, right? We need thanks Swinger. So what we're seeing here is the beginning of the Bureau gameplay, the Cabinet. We're going to refer to this game as the Cabinet gameplay. So in the Cabinet, XCOM Declassified, you control a third-person shooter, three-man squad. And in that squad, you control them from a wheel, which is actually pretty common sense. Right now, it's kind of just, it was thrown at me. I wasn't too sure where to proceed with it, but with, after getting into it, it was very, very intuitive. So let's go ahead and watch a little. So from here, the circle is thrown at you, and it tells you to do a critical strike on this turret that's laying down fire on you. Basically, what's going on in the game is, in the 1960s, this is actually a different universe from XCOM Enemy Unknown, so if you wanted more of even just the same universe, sadly you're not getting it, but hey, I will say this. For what the game is, if you really have an itch for more XCOM, this just might scratch it. So let's find out.
Finish it off!
So, in the 1960s, enemy transmissions begin to be picked up. There's arguments that it's the Russians. Woo, big surprise, you know, the whole Russian thing is already so passé. Or aliens start to invade this situation, and you'll kind of see, I treat this as a shooter to start off, and that was actually a mistake, because if you want to treat this like a third-person shooter, if you want to go in and just shoot stuff, I'm going to tell you that's not going to be your primary objective. That's not going to be what you primarily do. In fact, what you're going to be focused on is micromanagement. What you're going to be constantly doing is micromanaging your squad. And a lot of that is because your squad doesn't have the best AI, which was really a detriment until you start your phase of just constant micromanagement. See, your squad, they go in there, they go into situations and they start screaming at you. They're just like, hey! Hey! I don't know what I'm doing! Tell me what to shoot! And you're just... Really? And
We'll figure it out after they're dead.
it's infuriating. And the funny thing about it is, you know, they wanted to treat it like it's XCOM. And parts of it are, parts of it aren't. One of the biggest takeaways is that death doesn't matter as much. As I was talking about it with the Enemy Unknown footage, death mattered. It could, I'm starting to stumble over my own words, so let me take a sip of water. So, yeah, death mattered in XCOM. Gonna go ahead and pause here, or no, I'll let it run. Death mattered in XCOM because the moral implications of commanding your squad really weighed heavily on you, but you are the commander. You play as William Carter, who orders his squad around, orders them what to do, where to move, what to shoot, what abilities to use. I'm going to pause it now. And here, it doesn't matter as much because if you die, basically the whole thing resets. Yes, your squad can revive you, but in most situations, your squad's already going to be in enough duress that if you're the one who's down, they're probably about to fall too, and there will be footage of that coming up. Now right here, this is still very early in the game. What you're basically given is two characters, two squad mates, who already have most of the abilities that two types of squad members can get. I didn't realize this at first, because then you're thrown in with two squad members who basically have nothing, and you're just like, oh, well, this isn't as fun, and I can kind of see why the game isn't receiving as much praise, why it's actually being frowned upon. And so what I was expecting was with these two members, these abilities, I was just like, wow, I'll be able to tackle this easily. And even if they don't unlock as much, this will still be a decent experience. But it's frustrating because you're given all this power and you're just like, okay, I can actually do this. I'll go ahead and click play so you guys can see how this plays out, being able to throw down turrets and mines and more. And yeah, eventually what happens is you're given a whole lot less. So I'll go ahead and switch to full vid, talk with the chat a bit, and let this play out.
En route. You see him, Carter? Set up a turret.
Let's take them down! Enemies dug in!
Hit it hard!
I'm going to turret! They're moving up!
They took out our turret!
Target is down!
That's the last of them. That's it.
Now
Let's move
here,
I see.
I still handled that pretty handily without really constantly telling my team what to do. But in this video, you can see that I have squad members who don't even have the same names, don't have the same abilities, and this was the first time one of my squad members died in this game. And at first,
Hit it hard!
and one of the big problems with this game is even though you have the ability to constantly control your squad and constantly micromanage your squad, sorry, the map structure, as you can see, can often be very unforgiving. There really isn't much cover to be had here. There's enemies clearly across the room, and there's the boss over to my right who's equipping his friends with shields. So the area was very problematic and becomes problematic even against mutons or muttons if you watch Man's stream. I prefer to call them muttons, and it was actually against a mutton that that I realized I have to turn down the difficulty, because with shooters I always like to go in one step down from the highest difficulty. The highest difficulty was Commander, which would have been probably Veteran if you're a Call of Duty fan. So I went with the harder difficulty. Then the next step down from that, are you able to free move your character? Yes, you can free move Carter to other wall. You can free move him anywhere. You can go, like, as I just did, you can go Rambo and just run in and try and kill something. Heck, you can even melee a lot of the aliens, but I just learned not to. Because, as you can see, two of the characters are down. This is where I actually lose, yeah, it's Hatfield I lose. And I had to have Rocco revive Carter, because basically I lost control over the situation. And yeah, the enemy AI is not that great as well. So what happened here is, even though I won the day, I still lost a man, and I realized that this was going to be a difficult experience, even though I began to expect otherwise. So when you lost a character in this situation, you were able to call in another. However, further into the game, you had to wait on certain kinds of checkpoints or equipment swap outs where you could call in another character. So a lot of the times, as I was saying before, where it came down to losing characters, if you lost a character, chances are you would just revert to the last checkpoint, because eventually you would lose your other character, or you would simply die yourself. And in that situation, you were forced to revert to the last checkpoint, which you would either have both your men revived, or only one of your men revived. And it just became a complicated scenario where it was a question of, well, do I want to keep losing the experience these men are getting, or do I just want to revert to the last checkpoint as a normal third-person shooter would? And I feel like that was the biggest consequence of not being able to be XCOM-esque. Because even though you can lose men, it doesn't really matter. So, one of the cooler things about the game is the 60s theme. Sure, the graphics are a little dumbed down. I would even say they are simply dated.
My God.
Whether they wanted that to be part of the theme, part of it to kind of look dated, because the cutscenes do look foggy.
Get in position.
If they wanted it to simply have an older kind of feel to it or not, it doesn't work. It's cool, but it doesn't entirely work, because the foggy theme in cutscenes are just kind of like, this is
working through the
hurting
streets.
my eyes, please take this
down
away.
here.
But yeah, the cars are neat. Neat is a good way to describe it. I really hate to call it like that. There's a poor individual. But yeah, the cars, the radios, the way people talk, they dress. You can even customize the way your team dresses. It's all very neat. It's not groundbreaking. It's not... Well, it's not gonna really raise any eyebrows. It's just gonna be like, oh, well, that's cool. Let's move forward. So here is where I realized how difficult things were about to get for me. We're gonna need to take a break soon. I came into this part about 5 different times. This was still on hard difficulty, and the problem for me at this point was that my squad basically had 2 different abilities. The ability to tell aliens not to kill us from a certain location, and the ability to taunt, which is basically to tell the aliens to kill us faster. So they didn't really give me a huge advantage with these 2 squad members. And yes, I could have picked basically one other squad member who would have had an ability that would have better served me. Probably wouldn't have mattered. As I said, I eventually turned down the difficulty to normal, and part of the biggest reason that I turned the difficulty down to normal is because games are supposed to be enjoyable, whether they're difficult or not. Even if they're difficult, you should still be enjoying them. And to be frustrated because of the AI and the difficulty at the same time just isn't acceptable, at least for me as a player. Some people have different preferences. So I simply said, alright, for this, to move through this game, definitely gotta turn it down a notch. But as I said, I move into this part, this alien decides to go all man mode on me, and you'll see he'll roar at us real quick.
The bastard in charge.
And yeah. This was frustrating. Even watching this is still frustrating. So, we'll go ahead and give this a watch. If you guys want to throw a couple of questions at me real quick, go ahead.
Behind cover!
Moving. Moving.
Force him out!
Focus on that one.
They're shielded. Attacking your target. I'm ready.
That's better than you deserve.
Damn it! Help me, damn it! Commander, are you okay? I'm up. I'm ready.
Healing engaged. That's your target.
In my sights!
Focus on that target.
This one's mine!
So even here you can see I'm doing a fair amount of micromanagement with my squad, but it's even here that it's still to no avail. Now, after I did beat this portion, after I did successfully make it through it, and I continued on. I was still on hard, was still kicking some alien ass. It actually got pretty fun. Kind of really got a feel for the game and what I should be doing. How I should constantly be checking where my squad movement was, checking to make sure I stood next to live grenades and just took it like a man in beast mode. Yeah, it wasn't that bad, but then once you do start to face the, I guess, uber enemies, if that's how you want to refer to them, the badasses, and there we go, full on dead, exercises in death, good times. I realized that to really enjoy playing the game, or at least get a grasp on it, I'd have to switch the difficulty. So, with that in mind, what will be coming up is my 4th or 6th engagement fighting the Muton and winning. And from there we'll basically discuss the fun of micromanagement, why that is probably the shining beacon of the game, and then probably what someone consider tear the rest of the game apart. I'm going to take a break, I'm going to air a song, and I'll be back.